My challenging goal with this podcast is to provide a library that will help you reach your challenging goals. I want to bring guests with inspirational stories to help you take that first step towards your goal. All I'm asking is to please subscribe to this channel. It helps more than you can ever imagine. Thank you. Juan, welcome to Journey to Point B. Very glad to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
Our conversation will be about your journey to build 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. I know that a lot of people in my audience are searching and are really trying to understand how to make LinkedIn work for them. So bring us back to the beginning of your journey in building this following that you have now.
Absolutely. It's pretty crazy just to think of how powerful this platform can be. It's funny because I've been in the professional industry for close to over 10 years. But to be very realistic, I've only really used LinkedIn for the last maybe 3 years. So I've always been one of those members, like many people in the professional industry, that just have a LinkedIn, right? You've been told
Mhm.
you should probably create one. It's good for networking and professional building. So I created one. I never touched it. I never used it. I've always seen it as just another social media page, right? And I think a lot of people have that concept. But in today's world and today's society, being it so technology driven, it has become an asset to a lot of businesses, professionals, or just individuals that are looking to get into different industries. Going back 3 years ago, I stepped into the recruitment space. It wasn't a career that I was looking for. It was more something that I stumbled into, and I can't regret any decisions since then. But Lucia, let me tell you, I'm no LinkedIn professional, and I'm still learning every day, which is what I truly enjoy about this software.
You mentioned that LinkedIn in the beginning seemed like another social media platform.
Yep.
So, what changed your perspective on it?
Absolutely. I think it was not only my professional career that I'm in, but also where I wanted to bring myself professionally and get to that next stage of my professional career. Within recruitment specifically in this industry, there's a very large percentage of recruiting on LinkedIn. So I think for me, I put myself in a candidate's footsteps and try to see if this person, Juan, is reaching out to me. First of all, is it a real person? You know, right now there's so many
Mhm.
people that are reaching out that you don't know who it is. So I wanted to make sure that my LinkedIn platform was exactly who I am, right? So if someone goes into Juan's LinkedIn, they can see his background, his skills, and what are his really strengths that could probably help them out as a candidate or a business for their growth.
Going with that intention and getting to 10,000 followers, there were some steps in between. What have you found worked for you to really be able to build it consistently?
I think there's two main components. The one component is stepping outside of my comfort zone, right? So on my LinkedIn, in my featured section, I have my very first video I ever posted. Um, it's kind of crazy to look back at it. I'm stuttering. I don't know what to say. I have no rhythm or actual template for the conversation, but I just went for it, right? I just recorded a video and I posted it. And I think the what could I say? I guess the community or people on LinkedIn that saw the video and saw my motivation to just put myself out there really just made me feel like I could do this. I could give this actually a shot. And from there, I've tried different avenues, whether it was just video posting, creating just informational posts about recruitment, how to get into the professional space, or something that's very important to me is also DEI. So, being a Hispanic in my culture, there's a lot of situations where Hispanics don't feel comfortable to put themselves out there, whether it's because of a language barrier or not knowing how to. I'm able to put my voice out there and see if there's any other individuals that can see myself to where I am now and follow some guidelines or even footsteps.
I can totally relate to that because I remember when I first did the video, I did one take
Yep.
and then another one. And I ended up sending and posting the first one
Yes.
because because after I did the first 30 seconds, I started overthinking
Yes.
and I started becoming creative and I started becoming not myself.
Exactly.
So the more I try to impress, the more I try to look good, the less I accomplish that.
Yeah. There's
And
Lucia,
so,
there's a funny
mhm,
story in my house because I work from home, right? I'm fully remote.
mhm.
And the night before my very first video, I set up my phone. I put on my clothes that I was going to put on for the video. And it was the night before. And my wife walks by and she puts her head and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm practicing for my video that I'm going to do for the first time ever." And I clearly remember saying, just be yourself. That's it. Just try to be yourself. And people are going to connect with you for who you are, not who you want to be. Right. So that advice, I said, you know what? You're right. So I put the phone down. We went to sleep. And the next morning, I just hit record and I just spoke. I just spoke myself, like who I am and what I wanted to present. And 3 years later, this is where we are.
When I started this podcast, I was so nervous.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't be myself. Like I couldn't, no matter how much I was trying to help my guest
Yeah.
and tell them like, hey, this is just a casual conversation. I didn't believe that. Like that was a pep talk for me.
Exactly.
And the more I started embracing who I am and really focusing on just having a conversation with a red dot on my screen, the less editing I had to do because the first one that I think it was 14 minutes, I spent hours to
Yeah.
edit it. And others that were 45 minutes, I just spent like 1 hour or so because
Exactly.
I was myself.
Yeah.
And the more we are able to show up as ourselves, I know it's a cliche, but it's so true that the
Yes.
more we calm down and we connect to who we really are and with our intention,
Yeah.
the better those presences, whether it's a video, whether it's a post,
Yeah.
the better they become.
And I think that that should carry in a lot of different ways, right? So whether it's a video that you're making, being yourself, whether it's a post that you're creating, type as you would be speaking, right? So sometimes when I speak to colleagues or friends and they read a post, they're like, that actually sounds like Juan, right? Like the way he speaks, his
Mhm.
enthusiasm, it should be shown in the way that you're presenting yourself, no matter the platform. And I always want to be very hesitant and just being myself, regardless of a video or a post. Just be yourself.
In my early days on LinkedIn, I had my husband review everything.
Yeah.
And guess what? It was not my husband who was writing, and he would have a lot of feedback, and then I was like, yeah, but that would not sound like myself.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I need to embrace it and
Exactly.
just click the send or the post,
Yeah.
and that was me. Walk us through the journey of building a following or even sending connections.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
Absolutely. And for me specifically, I have to talk about my recruitment role specifically because for me to build a platform, I need to connect with individuals that would make my searches or my professional job successful. And what does that mean? I'm a recruiter that specializes in accounting, finance, HR, and professional services. So those are a lot of different verticals of networkings and channels within LinkedIn. So whenever even I speak to someone that says, Juan, how do I grow my recruitment channel or my recruitment background? Well, the first thing you need to do is understand who is your clientele, right? Who will you be
Mhm.
speaking to that will interact with your content? So for me specifically, whether if I was doing a recruitment search, whether I was doing business development, whether I was just looking to find similar individuals that are doing LinkedIn content, that's where I would do my connections. So, an example, if I'm looking for a accountant, a lot of my connections would be accountants. While I was doing a search for HR managers, it would be a lot of HR connections. And then for my personal interest, there's a lot of things of individuals that do content creation on LinkedIn that I follow, or different leaders within different industries that I find as inspiration that I follow as well. So I think it really depends on what is it that you're looking to overcome in your presenting, and people that will connect with you, and that's where you would start with those connections.
I see on LinkedIn we have two different ways to approach followers and
Yeah,
connections. Is followers are people that just come to you, typically based on what you post,
correct,
based on a common interest. Connections, you have a level of control, so you can
correct.
click the connect button.
Yep,
And followers, I would assume that your videos and your posts, that's what brought to followers.
yep.
What are some tips that you found useful, or something that you've learned of what would be a good way to connect with people on LinkedIn? Send that connect request.
I think the most important thing, and sometimes I feel people forget, is the add note component, right? So
Mhm.
when you hit a connection, and that's it, and you just hit connect, it kind of just goes into their my network as a pending connection, and it could just sit there, right? So if someone doesn't know who Juan is, or why is Juan looking to connect with me, it might just sit there. But if a great tip that I always tell my recruiters or anyone on LinkedIn is, if you want to connect with someone, but there's something that you share a similar interest, or there's a specific reason as to why you are looking for that connection, it doesn't take more than a 2 to 3 sentence of add note next to the connection of why you're looking to connect. Whether it's you guys went
Mhm.
to the same school, you guys worked for similar companies in the past, or they have a mutual connection that you also have. It could be a conversation starter. Hey, I connected with Lucia as well. What was the conversation? And then it's more of a, okay, I should probably connect with Juan. Maybe we have similar interests.
I think that's a very good point, because I typically ignore, or it takes me a while to get to the connection requests
Yeah,
that don't have something, because I need to research a little bit that person. I need to see
yeah,
where they're coming from, and do I want to engage with them or not.
yeah.
But having a note does a lot of work for me.
You also have to keep in mind there's two different types of LinkedIn users, right? You have your LinkedIn user that just has LinkedIn because they were probably told it's good to have, and then you have your LinkedIn users that probably use it as a actual tool for their business or their jobs. Those types of LinkedIn connections probably don't have the time to look at your LinkedIn page and see who you are. So providing that snippet, like you mentioned, saves them a lot of time and says, okay, do I want to connect with them or do I not? You're right. You want to make
Yeah.
sure you're making it as easier for them.
I know it's very important to stay connected with your network, not just connect and forget.
Yep.
What are some ways that you are staying connected with your network?
Yeah. LinkedIn has so many different tools, whether it's liking, reposting, commenting. There's a lot of different ways you could stay, or even simply sending a message. There's a lot of different ways to stay in contact. But the way I look at it too is, if I'm contributing input to other people's posts or what they're sharing, hopefully they're doing the same for me, right? Because I want to
Mhm.
make sure I'm building a network of individuals that are looking to contribute or looking to promote certain things that I'm sharing with my network as well. So whether it's a simple like, a simple
Mhm.
commenting for my network, or actually putting input into someone's post, it is very beneficial to staying connected with your network. The last thing you'd want is connect with someone and then don't hear from them for X amount of years, right? What was the connection for? But if you're actually being able to input, or just as simple as liking, you're staying relevant, right? Your name is still there. You see that people are using it, and it's just a simple like is always possible as well.
So it doesn't take that much. Of
No,
course, you can, like, sky's the limit. There is always options, but if, like, to not overcomplicate it, just a simple like, a share, and a
yeah,
comment, that helps you stay in contact. I work with some people, and when they are looking into a career transition, one of the main things that it's recommended is to connect with your network.
correct.
But the people that weren't in touch with their network, even if they have 6,000 connections, they are hesitant. They're like, why would, like, I cannot just go out of the blue. So one thing to do to avoid the hesitancy of reaching out to someone out
Yeah,
of the blue is just to hit that like,
exactly.
support,
And your
and
name's
send a
always going to
message
stay
once in a
relevant,
while.
right? Your name's always going to
Yes.
be popping up. And even though you may have not spoken or had a full conversation, it's always like, oh, Juan liked this, or I saw Juan here. And also keep in mind that what you're liking is also sharing in others people's summaries. So even if it's not their contribution, they're still seeing what you're interacting with as well.
What were some of the, uh, let's call it, milestones as you came to close to 10,000 followers? What would you say were some of the biggest milestones that you had?
I would have to say getting invited to there's two main milestones in my professional career. One being a panelist for one of the universities here in Connecticut, but I think one of the mid milestones that showed me that, hey, you're doing the right thing, keep doing it, was getting invited by my employer to New York City and to do a video for our Hispanic ERG through our DEI initiatives and just record something for the organization. And to me, that kind of said, Juan, we see what you're doing in your LinkedIn, and we want to share that with not just our organization, but any of our followers within Russell Tobin and Pride Global. And it was different because for me, I record with my cell phone, I put it somewhere and I just record. I show up, and there's this great person. His name is Vic. He was one of our team members at Pride Global that did all of the videoing. And there's like three cameras. There's a big photo thing, and I'm just like walking into like, what am I getting myself into? Um, but again, it was just more of be yourself and speak as you would in any situation. So that was an awesome milestone for me.
Yeah, and people are watching.
Yeah,
I Even if they do not react to it, but they are watching. There are so many people that are telling me, like, "Oh, I liked so much your post." People that I didn't even know they ever
correct.
look at one of my posts because they never ever
Yeah,
react to it. But in private or in casual conversations, they mention, they're like, "Oh, I liked," especially some specifics ones. So yes, people are watching, and that can open up opportunities. For me, it was like, I'm looking at my LinkedIn connections
yep,
as really, it sounds cliche as a family, but really like a family of entrepreneurs, of
yeah,
people that want to build their business. And it's this connection.
yeah,
Like, sometimes when we don't hear from each other in a month or
yeah.
two, like, we would just ping like, "Hey,
You
I'm
okay?
thinking about it.
Yeah,
I hope everything is okay."
yeah.
And it's wonderful.
Well,
A very
I
warm
I
environment.
think also a component that y- it's a support system. right? It's you
Mm-hmm.
are building people that want to see you succeed just as much as you want them to succeed. And I think it may be a little bit cliche, but it is a LinkedIn family, right? And I actually
Mm-hmm.
use that in some of my postings saying LinkedIn family or LinkedIn networking, because you
Mm-hmm.
start to grow professional relationships with individuals in the professional space that want to support your career or that want to support your success, and you do that just as much for them also.
Yes, and since LinkedIn, it's a professional network.
Yeah,
I believe our activity there, it's really, if we get to mirror what we do on LinkedIn in our workspace, I think we cannot fail,
yeah,
no? Like that level of support, that level of I'm sharing ideas, sharing information, no expectations attached, just to put something there that might be helpful for other people.
absolutely.
What would you say one were some or the biggest lesson that you learned as you were growing your following, your network?
I would have to say that there's no right or wrong post, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no script or a bullet list of what you need for a post, right? It's not like an essay. You need indents, you need a title, you need 4 paragraphs. It's none of that. And there's no rules either. It's more of you sharing what you believe is successful to you. And I think there was times when I just started my LinkedIn posts where I'd share something and I'd get 4 likes. And I'm like, did I do something wrong? Did I post something that wasn't interesting? And then maybe the next day I post something different and it gets 40 likes. And then I'm trying to like think to myself, I'm like, what did I do differently that this one was successful and that one wasn't successful? Did I post it at the wrong time? Are people during lunch? Is it too late? People aren't on LinkedIn. And to an extent, yes, there's an algorithm in LinkedIn that definitely does help the success of your postings. But to answer your question, there's no right or wrong post, right? I think the
Mm-hmm.
most important thing is just posting what you truly feel comfortable with and what you're okay sharing with. I know there's a lot of like contradiction on LinkedIn of personal information and professional information. I tend to do both. I like to share my personal success, whether it's with my family, my son, but I also want to share my professional milestones. Because at the end of the day, when someone goes into my LinkedIn page and they look at who Juan is, you'll see my professional career and strengths, but you also see who I am as a family, as a father, as a son, and I think that makes sometimes those deeper connections when you're trying to build those professional relationships.
Because that's like we are not just the professional. We
Exactly.
are all our profession, our family, our personal interests, everything.
Yeah.
And how wonderful to go on someone's profile and learn like how who they are as a person.
Yeah.
How is like from a recruiter standpoint, this is uh, what changes in you in selecting a candidate when you see a candidate that just has the resume online
Yep.
and one that has a little bit more? What goes through your mind?
It's a tough question. That's a
Tough
tough
question.
question, because I can't sit here and say, well, if you don't have a LinkedIn, you're not a professional. That's
Hmm.
incorrect. But what I can say is, I do believe that if you're a candidate that has a fully completed LinkedIn headshot, um, very current employment history, somewhat of a summary, education, I think it gives me a stronger understanding of maybe what it is you're looking to get out of your professional career, whether it's just creating a networking event out of LinkedIn or just putting yourself out there. outside of just your resume, because again, now with LinkedIn, whether it's just easy apply and you apply with your LinkedIn resume, there's so many ways to grow your professional career through LinkedIn that for me it helps me specifically see candidates that I believe would be a stronger fit if they have everything on LinkedIn rather than someone that has nothing on LinkedIn. And because it's also, I'm thinking as a recruiter, right? I'm thinking of like, okay, what do I look like look for in a candidate? And there's times where resumes are outdated and it's the
Mhm.
old resume, but I pull them up on LinkedIn and everything's updated. So it's a smoother transition of a conversation where I call someone and I say, "Hey, Lucia, I came across a very old resume, but I do see you're currently at ABC. Are you open to any opportunities?" Right? It's a smoother conversation than I came across your resume. I have no idea if you're still in this job or you are, and going from there. So tough question, but that's kind of like the mentality that I get into as a recruiter.
So it's not necessarily that it would land a job but it helps the recruiter make a better assessment
Yeah.
of a better fit for you.
Absolutely. And again, it's you're not you're you're not a bad candidate if you don't have a LinkedIn. I'm not saying that.
Hmm.
But I
Yes.
think it is very beneficial from a recruiter seat to have someone that has a completed LinkedIn so we could do our due diligence, right? Make sure that your employer is still the same. Make sure that the resume matches the LinkedIn. There's no discrepancies. So that helps us even understand, are you organized? Are you making sure that everything is updated accordingly? Right? There's different traits or different responsibilities that you can see from someone having a completed LinkedIn than someone that doesn't.
For someone that is considering being more active on LinkedIn, but they are hesitant, maybe because they they don't like to put themselves out there, what would you tell them?
I think the first step to do is, it doesn't take anything to connect with people, right? So if you want to make sure that you can at one point get to a situation where you are comfortable to share, um, or make any content, at least you've already built a network, right? So
Mhm.
think of a LinkedIn member that has 5 connections that wants to make a post. Well, you're limiting yourself to the amount of people that will be seeing that post, whether as someone that's in a LinkedIn seat that is connecting with individuals that share similar interests or are within the same professional industry, and you've been building that connection. When you are ready to make a post, you already have somewhat of a network that can see your post
Mhm.
and even share feedback, right? There's times where I've made a post and someone reached out to me and say, "Hey Juan, I would have done this differently," or "Great job on what you did, keep doing it." And you want that, sometimes that motivation to say like, "I did this right," or "This worked out for me."
I have a tradition on this podcast where I'm asking the current guest about a book that was foundational for them. And I will send that book to the next guest. And I don't even know who that next guest would be. What is a book that you would like me to send to the next guest?
There's a book that I read a long time ago. It's called The Energy Bus by John Gordon. Um,
Hmm.
and the book is more of how to visualize your day to day and staying within a positive mindset. You know, in today's world, there's so many things that are going on that can impact your your energy or can impact your attitude. And this book has shown me how to sometimes just like sit back and see everything, and whatever just happened, it's okay. There's another
Hmm.
task that's going to come along and maybe be better. or can be worse. But again, it's okay. You just have to look at it through all lenses. So again, The Energy Bus by John Gordon.
And Juan, for anyone that would like to learn more about what you're doing, get connected with you, what would be the best way for them to do so?
LinkedIn, right? That's what we spoke about today.
That's such an obvious question. Yeah.
It's please don't hesitate to connect with me. I also don't ever say no to a conversation. Whether it's through recruiting or just getting to know a little bit more about each other. It may take a little bit of time for me to get back to you, but I don't ever say no to a conversation.
That's very good to know. And good that like we don't need to be lonely. We don't need to be alone in this. There are so many people struggling to find a job. And what I often suggest, talk with a recruiter and ask what are they looking for into a candidate.
Absolutely.
And the truth is that very few people take that step.
Yes,
Very few people take
we
that
don't
step.
bite. Recruiters tend to have a bad rep, and take it with a grain of salt. Every recruiter is differently, but you'll find good recruiters that are okay with having just a conversation and seeing if there's any way that we could help you out.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing your journey here. Very honored to have you here.
My pleasure. It was a great time.
I hope this episode gave you some inspiration for reaching your goals. If you found it useful, please hit the subscribe button. This will help me bring you more inspirational stories to support your own journey to point B. Thank you.